Here's something almost nobody tells you. The most dangerous part of your day may be the first 30 minutes after you open your eyes. It sounds backward, doesn't it? You've just rested, you feel calm, and yet the research is remarkably consistent. This quiet window, before you've even had your tea, is when your body is under the most strain. I'm Dr. Richard Ben, and I've spent years studying how the aging body responds to those first waking minutes, and where small, invisible mistakes quietly add up. In my last video, I explained why you always have mucus in your throat and what's really causing it. Today we go somewhere that matters even more. Consider this. In a landmark study of nearly 3,000 heart attack patients published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 1985 by Dr. James Muller and colleagues, researchers found a striking pattern. Heart attacks peak sharply between 6 a.m. and noon, with roughly a threefold jump in the early morning compared to the quietest hours of the night. A later analysis of more than 60,000 patients confirmed it. Your morning is not neutral. It either protects you or works against you. So before we begin, do me a favor. Comment your age below and tell me, what is the very first thing you do when you wake up? I read these, and your answer matters for what follows. Today, I'll walk you through the 5 most powerful morning habits to correct, ranked from foundational to genuinely life-altering. And number 1 is the mistake most likely to be silently raising your risk of a heart attack or stroke. Do not skip it. Let's begin with number 5, standing up too fast the moment you wake. This is the most common and the most underestimated. You wake, you swing your legs over, you stand, all in a few seconds. For a younger body, no problem. For an older one, that speed can be dangerous. Here's the mechanism in plain English. When you lie flat all night, blood pools toward your core. The instant you stand, gravity pulls a rush of blood down toward your legs, and your blood pressure briefly drops. In a healthy young body, tiny sensors in your arteries catch this in a fraction of a second and tighten things up. But with age, those sensors, called baroreceptors, get slower and less sensitive. So the pressure stays low for a few extra seconds, your brain is briefly short on blood, and you feel that dizzy, swaying, gray-out moment. Doctors call it orthostatic hypotension. This isn't rare. A 2020 systematic review in the Journals of Gerontology found that about 22% of community-dwelling older adults have orthostatic hypotension, more than 1 in 5, and it carries real consequences. In the Mobilize Boston study, published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society, older adults who had this blood pressure drop at 1 minute, combined with poorly controlled high blood pressure, had roughly 2.5 times the risk of falls compared with those without it. A separate Finnish study in the Journal of the American Medical Directors Association in 2021 found nearly a quarter of older adults dropped their pressure within 30 seconds of standing, and that early drop predicted falls over the following year. Picture someone like Harold, 72, who lived alone and prided himself on hopping out of bed the second the alarm rang. One morning, the room spun. He grabbed for the dresser and went down, a fractured wrist. Nothing was wrong with his heart. He was simply standing up faster than his aging circulation could handle. Once he learned to rise in stages, the dizziness faded and the near falls stopped. Here's how this changes with age. After about 60, your baroreceptor reflex weakens. Your total blood volume tends to run lower, and many common medications, for blood pressure, for the prostate, for mood, deepen the morning drop. So the same movement that was harmless at 40 becomes a genuine fall risk at 70. The fix costs nothing. When you wake, sit up slowly. Sit on the edge of the bed for a full 30 to 60 seconds. Pump your ankles up and down a few times to push blood back upward. Then stand and pause again before you walk. That's it. And here's your synergy tip, which connects straight to number 4. This reflex depends heavily on how much fluid is in your system overnight. A well-hydrated body holds its morning pressure far better than a dry one, which is exactly why the next mistake makes this one worse. Which brings us to number 4, not drinking water before anything else. You've gone 7 or 8 hours without a drop of water, breathing out moisture the entire night. You wake up mildly dehydrated every single morning. And most people reach for coffee, which nudges them drier still, before a single glass of water. Here's why that matters. Simply put, water is a major part of your blood. When you're low on fluid, your blood becomes thicker and stickier. Scientists call this higher blood viscosity. Thicker blood moves more sluggishly, your heart has to push harder, and the odds of a clot forming edge upward. Layer that on top of the body's natural early morning tendency toward clotting, and you can see why the waking hours are higher risk. The evidence points the same direction. A 2025 review in the Journal of the Neurological Sciences described how overnight dehydration raises blood viscosity and is proposed as a driver of wake-up stroke that begins during sleep or right as you wake. And this is not a fringe event. Reviews in Frontiers in Neurology report that roughly 20 to 25% of all ischemic strokes are wake-up strokes, with a 2011 study in neurology finding about 14% of ischemic strokes occurred during sleep. Meanwhile, a large database study in the Journal of Stroke and Cerebrovascular Diseases in 2025, drawing on some 3 million adults over 80, found a strong association between dehydration and stroke. Picture someone like Eleanor, 68, who never drank water until mid-morning and often felt foggy and headachy before lunch. She started keeping a glass on her nightstand and drinking it before her feet hit the floor. Within a couple of weeks, the morning headaches eased, and the lightheadedness she'd blamed on just getting older lifted. A simple glass of water was doing quiet work. How does age change this? Your sense of thirst genuinely dulls after 60. Your body needs fluid but doesn't signal for it as loudly. Your kidneys hold water less efficiently, and many seniors deliberately drink less in the evening to avoid nighttime trips to the bathroom. All of it adds up to waking in a drier state than you realize. The fix, again, is free. Keep a full glass or bottle of water at your bedside. Drink it, ideally room temperature, before coffee, before tea, before you stand. 10 to 16 ounces is plenty. And the synergy runs both directions. Rehydrating first thing helps your blood pressure hold steady when you stand, softening mistake number 5. And it primes your body to absorb what comes next, because water on an empty stomach sets you up perfectly for mistake number 3. Now we're getting serious. Number 3, skipping breakfast, or treating it as optional. For years, skipping breakfast was fashionable, but for an older adult, the pattern carries a measurable cost, and the data here is unusually strong. The mechanism first. Overnight, your body runs down its easily available fuel. Skip breakfast, and you stay in a stressed, running on empty state longer, which can spike stress hormones, unsettle blood sugar, and, over years, nudge blood pressure and cholesterol in the wrong direction. Breakfast, in effect, tells your body the emergency is over. The numbers are hard to ignore. A 2019 study in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, following a national sample of 6,550 American adults, found that people who never ate breakfast had an 87% higher risk of death from cardiovascular disease compared with daily breakfast eaters. That's the hazard ratio of 1.87. A 2020 meta-analysis in clinical nutrition, pooling over 221,000 people, found breakfast skippers had about a 22% higher risk of cardiovascular disease and a 25% higher risk of death from any cause. And a 2022 analysis in the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics put the increase in cardiovascular death risk at around 40% for breakfast skippers. Picture someone like Frank, 65, who ran on black coffee until noon because he wasn't hungry. He was often shaky and irritable by late morning and snacked heavily in the afternoon. When he added a simple breakfast, oats, an egg, a piece of fruit, the shakiness settled, the afternoon cravings shrank, and his next round of blood work looked steadier than it had in years. Age sharpens the stakes. After 60, blood sugar control naturally becomes less flexible, so long fasts hit harder. Muscle is also easier to lose and harder to rebuild, and a protein-containing breakfast helps protect it. This is one place where the young can get away with skipping, and older bodies often can't. Practical steps, low cost. Aim for protein plus fiber: eggs, plain yogurt, oats, beans, whole fruit, a handful of nuts. It doesn't need to be large or elaborate. Consistency matters far more than size. Even a modest, balanced breakfast beats none. Your synergy tip: eat that breakfast beside a bright window, because the very next mistake is about the light your body isn't getting, and food plus morning light together do something neither does alone. Which takes us to number 2, staying in the dark and missing morning light. This one is nearly invisible, which is exactly why it's so far up the list. Many seniors wake and stay indoors in dim rooms for hours, and your body reads that darkness as a signal to stay half asleep. Here's the mechanism. Deep in your brain sits a master clock that keeps your sleep, mood, hormones, and alertness on a 24-hour rhythm. That clock is set primarily by bright light hitting your eyes in the morning. Morning light effectively presses start on your day, sharpening alertness, lifting mood, and, crucially, helping you sleep better the following night. Without it, the whole rhythm drifts and flattens. The research is encouraging. In a landmark randomized trial published in JAMA in 2008 by Riemersma Vanderleck and colleagues, increasing daytime bright light for older adults in care facilities slowed cognitive decline by about 5% and reduced depressive symptoms by roughly 19%, simply by brightening their environment. And a 2025 daily diary study in the Journal of Health Psychology, following adults over many weeks, found that morning sunlight exposure predicted better sleep quality the very next night. Picture someone like Doris, 74, who kept her curtains drawn and dozed on and off through the morning, then struggled to sleep at night. When she began taking her tea on a sunlit porch for 20 minutes each morning, her nights slowly knit back together, falling asleep easier, waking less, and the low gray mood that had settled over her mornings began to lift. Age makes this urgent. As we get older, we spend more time indoors and less in daylight, and the aging eye lets in less light to begin with, so the circadian clock gets a weaker signal precisely when it needs a stronger one. That's a major reason sleep and mood so often unravel with age. The fix is beautifully free. Within an hour or two of waking, get your eyes into bright light for 15 to 30 minutes. Step outside, sit by an open window, take a short walk. No sunglasses for those few minutes. The light needs to reach your eyes. Even a cloudy sky is far brighter than any indoor room. Synergy tip: pair morning light with a short walk, and you tackle mistakes 2 and 1 at once, because gentle morning movement in daylight is one of the best ways to tame the single most dangerous mistake of all. And now, the one I told you not to skip. Number 1, rushing straight into a stressful, high-exertion morning. This is the mistake most likely to be quietly raising your risk of a heart attack or a stroke, and almost nobody thinks of it as a mistake at all. You wake and you launch. Leap up, rush around, race to an appointment, or throw yourself into strenuous effort, all while your body is already in its most vulnerable state. Here's why that's so risky, explained simply. In the first hours after waking, your body naturally surges. Stress hormones climb, your heart rate rises, and your blood pressure jumps upward in what's called the morning blood pressure surge. At the same time, your blood is naturally more prone to clotting. This is the body's built-in wake up and go program. But if you slam extra stress and sudden exertion on top of an already surging system, you can push it past its limits. And that's precisely when arteries are most likely to fail. The evidence is sobering. In a 2003 study in Circulation, Dr. Kazuomi Kario and colleagues followed 519 older adults with high blood pressure. Those with the steepest morning surge had a 19% stroke rate over the follow-up period, compared with just 7.3% in the others, well over double the risk, driven by that morning spike alone. This builds directly on the New England Journal of Medicine finding I opened with, that heart attacks peak between 6 a.m. and noon. And classic work by Dr. Murray Middleman in the New England Journal of Medicine showed that sudden, heavy exertion can act as a trigger for heart attacks, while people who exercised regularly were far better protected against that trigger. Picture someone like Raymond, 70, who woke to a blaring alarm and immediately rushed. Jarring wake, straight to stressful phone calls, then hauling heavy bags to the car, all within 20 minutes. He often felt his heart pounding and his chest tight in those early moments. When he rebuilt his mornings to start slow, waking gently, hydrating, easing in, those alarming palpitations grew rare, and his home blood pressure readings in the morning came down noticeably. Age is the whole story here. The morning surge tends to be larger and sharper in older adults. Arteries are stiffer and more likely to hold hidden plaque, and the body recovers from sudden stress more slowly. The same frantic morning a 35-year-old shrugs off can genuinely endanger a 70-year-old. So here is the most important free habit in this video. Protect your first hour. Wake to a gentle sound, not a blaring alarm. Give yourself unhurried time, no rushing, no heavy lifting, no stressful confrontations first thing. Hydrate, get light, breathe slowly, and ease into the day. If you take blood pressure medication, talk with your doctor about timing, since this is exactly the window it's meant to cover. And the synergy pulls the whole video together. Rising slowly, drinking water, eating breakfast, and getting morning light all converge here. Every one of them helps blunt that dangerous morning surge. Do them together, and you've built a genuine shield around your most vulnerable hour. So let's bring it home. Number 5, don't rocket out of bed. Rise in slow stages so your circulation can catch up and you don't fall. Number 4, drink water before anything else, because overnight you wake up thicker-blooded and drier than you feel. Number 3, don't skip breakfast. A simple, balanced one is tied to meaningfully lower cardiovascular risk. Number 2, get bright morning light into your eyes to reset your clock, lift your mood, and sleep better at night. And number 1, protect your first hour. Never rush or strain into a body that's already surging, because that's when hearts and arteries are most at risk. Here's the truth I want you to carry. It is never too late. Your body responds to better mornings at 60, at 70, at 80. Prevention and improvement are always on the table, and it usually starts with the smallest change. So tell me in the comments, which one will you start tomorrow morning? And what's your single biggest challenge in changing your routine? I read every reply. If this helped you, please like this video, subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and share it with someone you love who could use a safer morning. Because how you spend your first hour awake may quietly shape all the years still ahead.